So I found in the world of psoriasis, or people dealing with psoriasis, is that we have a lot of different types of people out there. And when I start recommending eating plans, there's always been one eating plan I've used with everybody in terms of people with psoriasis because of how easy it is to help your body digest food. Or how easy the foods are in it to digest, and the nutrient values, and just the quality of it all. But recently I've realized that there's different opinions on what people just kind of get stuck in, and they get stuck in these vegan, carnivore, keto kind of diets. And so I'm going to give you guys 3 options of eating plans that I can tell you right now, if you follow one of these 3 options, you're going to have good success, meaning your body is going to get healthier, it's going to get stronger. I don't recommend following one of these all the time for the rest of your life, but these are great starting points in terms of diets to follow in that process. If you want the gut healing diet that I typically recommend, just put in the comments. If you haven't gotten it yet, I'll send you that link and you can get that as well. But these are the 3 things that I'm going to recommend. So the 3 diets I'm going to recommend, starting out, number 1 is the carnivore diet, okay? And this is a specific diet that most of you have heard of. And I would say I've probably gotten the most testimonials from people following a carnivore diet. Have I ever used it with patients? I have, not very often, because it's very restrictive. It's hard for a lot of people to follow. For some people, it's easier because you don't have to think. All you do is eat meat, saves money on groceries, whatnot. But I've also found that people become kind of intense with it, and it can also, if you don't do it right, you can actually be very deficient in certain things as well, just like you could if you just did a vegan diet. So, but carnivore diet can be very effective in helping with autoimmune diseases and psoriasis. There's no question about it. So I think Mikhaila Peterson, or Jordan Peterson, if you guys have heard of him, he's become this famous psychologist, but his daughter did the carnivore diet and got rid of a lot of her health issues with autoimmune disease. I think he did too. And it's just become very, very popular because of a lot of people speaking out of how much it helped them. And I love it. I think it's great. I don't think it's something you should do forever, because essentially there are, I think our diet's meant to be more balanced. I don't think we should have mostly meat. I don't think we should, or all meat. I don't think we should have all vegetables. I do think maybe more meat, less vegetables. But that's not what today's video is about. I want to talk about carnivore diet and why it can be effective with psoriasis. The number 1 reason the carnivore diet can be so effective for someone with psoriasis, if they do it right. So some of you are going to say, I did it and it didn't work. I'm going to give you some reasons why it typically doesn't work for some people. The reason it can be effective is because you're taking out so many foods that your body's not doing well with, right? Your body has just built up immune responses and has had a hard time digesting certain things over years. So you got things like let's say spinach, high oxalate food, or chard, a high oxalate food, and your body just isn't breaking down those oxalates and it's making you feel sick. Or you took out, you're also taking out preservatives, you're taking out chemicals, you're taking out all these other boxed foods that aren't just on the carnivore diet. So that's a big one. You start taking out things like tomatoes, you're going to take out things with high lectin count, like things you'll see on a plant paradox eating plan that have been taken out, like nightshade vegetables. All the things I recommend taking out. If you do the carnivore diet, you're pretty much taking those out. Now, there are things I always recommend having back in. So I'm going to talk to you about how to, that's why the carnivore diet can be so effective. But I'm going to talk to you about how do you do it properly. Okay, number 1, carnivore diet has to be properly healthy raised animals. Okay, if the people that I've seen that have done the carnivore diet that it made them worse or didn't work at all are the people that do conventional meat, the stuff that you typically will see in the grocery store that has been raised with antibiotics, hormones, that has been fed grains. So they're still getting wheat grains, they're still getting gluten when they eat that cow or animal. And the animal becomes very toxic. Okay, high in omega-6 fatty acids, like a 20-to-1 ratio, I think it is, of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids, and just creates a ton of inflammation. So that's typically the pitfall, the thing that people mess up on. So you want to make sure you have high quality meat, ideally local, ideally your farmer, they're grass-fed, grass-finished, and so that the cow and the animal is nutrient dense, okay? Because meat is actually very nutrient dense. It's high in good healthy fats, and yes, saturated fat is good for you, but it's a huge part of the health. I mean, you look at a woman's breast milk, women's breast milk, which actually raises a baby, helps grow a baby, the healthiest babies are breastfed, is about 50% saturated fat. Clearly, it can't be that bad if it's what creates a baby, right? So there's a lot of good studies on saturated fat. Point is that if you have a good healthy animal, you have about a 4-to-1, 2-to-1 ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acids. You're going to have a lot of good vitamin A, or iron, a lot of nutrients in there. You're going to get your branched chain amino acids. You're going to get really most of everything you need from that meat. Okay, you're not going to get a lot of the fiber, which is very important for digestion, which is why I don't recommend it forever. But if you're going to do the carnivore diet, you do that, and then you add in some things to help. Some of the things that are going to help make sure you get the right nutrient values throughout your day is going to be adding organ meats in. So you're still on the carnivore diet, you're still eating animals, but you're getting the organ meats. If you're just eating chicken breast every day, you're going to be depleted in a lot of nutrients. It's not very nutrient dense. So organ meats like liver, adrenals, things like that, you can get those in a desiccated form. So you can get a desiccated form of mixed organ meat. There's a company that actually, like Ancient Nutrition, they created a mixed organ meats. You're getting these high methylating organ meats in a capsulated form. Okay, if you want that, go into our comments. We'll get you the links to, or leave a comment, I'm sorry, that you want to get the link to that, and we'll get you a link to that for full scripts, and you can save 20% on it. So carnivore diet can be very effective for a lot of reasons. Okay, I think I went through most of the reasons why people fail in the carnivore diet. One last thing I want you to make sure you add in if you're doing the carnivore diet is bone broth. Bone broth has a lot of nutrients, a lot of minerals, and it's something that can really help digestion as well. If you want to add one final thing in, which will shift you a little bit out of the full-on carnivore diet, would be some sort of a fiber like an inulin or a psyllium husk or something like that. You could do it and make sure it's organic and clean, but that'll help. If you're someone that has chronic issues with constipation, I probably wouldn't recommend going carnivore. You can try it, but typically if you've gotten rid of the constipation, it can cause that to come back, especially if you're not doing fiber. All right, the next diet that I'm gonna recommend, next diet option, so you get carnivore. The next one I'm gonna recommend is not just the food you're eating, but how you're eating them. Okay, so you could use the carnivore diet with this. You could use the gut healing diet that I recommend for most patients with this. You could use other eating plans as well, keto diet with this as well. But it's time restricted eating. Okay, it's not intermittent fasting. I'm not really a huge fan of the concept of intermittent fasting in terms of the name of it. And that fasting is really more of a 24-hour staying away from something, and intermittent, it would be like multiple days of staying away from it kind of thing. So I call it time restricted eating because that's ultimately what you're doing. You're restricting the time that you eat. So time restricted eating is really valuable in that it gives your body a break from digesting food all the time. And so one of the things I found with patients coming in is they're eating clean, they're gluten-free, they're dairy-free and things like that, but they're eating all day. And the problem with that is that we're not in a digestive mode all day long. You know, we're doing things, we're working, we're building, we're creating, and we're being active, we're working out, exercising. And so if you're eating food in the middle of your workday, right, you're working and you're doing stuff and you're eating at the same time, problem is you're in a fight or flight response. You're in this sympathetic response, which is kind of a get stuff done response. The problem is you're not in a digestive mode, and your stomach acid is not going to be at a good place, right? Your motility isn't going to be at a good place. The enzyme release isn't going to be at a good place. And you're just not going to break that food down very well. It's going to sit there, it can ferment, and it's just going to really wreak havoc on your GI tract. And so intermittent fasting can be effective for a lot of, or time restricted eating can be effective because it gives the breaks. And so at a minimum, time restricted eating could just be no snacks. It could be you eat breakfast, you eat lunch, you eat dinner, and nothing in between, giving your body a break to that process. Or you could do the more popular version, which is 8 hours on, 16 hours off, and you're only eating for a short period of time, right? Maybe 11 to 7 or 12 to 8 or something like that. And during that time, you're eating high quality foods, right? So it does matter what you eat, but the idea behind time restricted eating is it gives your body a break. And then you can even add in there, I like to do maybe a 5 to 6 days of time restricted eating, and then a 24-hour fast on Sunday where you're only doing water and electrolytes, or you could even just do just bone broth. With time restricted eating, I recommend doing a lunchtime, maybe like 11, 12 spot where you're eating plenty of food. You don't want to sometimes people do too much protein at each meal because they don't think they're going to get enough. Well, after a certain amount of protein, your body just literally turns it into sugar anyways. So eat your normal size meals, right? If you're hungry in between that lunch and dinner time, then do something like a bone broth or a bone broth protein. That can be very effective and really good for your health. So time restricted eating is something I usually use with the gut healing diet that I recommend, but you could use the carnivore diet, you could use a keto diet. Those all can be very effective. And for most people, just shifting into a different eating plan where you're not eating processed foods, where you're staying away from fast food and you're eating real food, it makes a big difference with psoriasis, okay? So number 2 is time restricted eating. The third one, which is what I've kind of put together in the gut healing diet, is a mix of eating plans, okay? It's a mixture of popular eating plans, I guess you would say. You got the FODMAP diet, which is foods that, getting rid of foods that feed SIBO or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. You have the plant paradox diet, which gets rid of foods that have high lectin count and things like that and are hard to digest. And then you have a low oxalate diet, which gets rid of foods that are very high in oxalates. The gut healing diet has kind of taken really the FODMAP and the plant paradox, and for some people, I'll even recommend adding that oxalate, low oxalates, like taking the spinach, the chard, these high oxalate foods out as well, because their body's just not processing and digesting it. It can be very toxic. So for me, I found that to be the best eating plan, in that you're eating your grass-fed, your organic, your free-range, properly raised animals, your wild-caught fishes. You're eating your organic vegetables and fruits and things like that, but you're eating specific ones that are going to be the easiest to digest and complement each other, and it makes it really easy on your digestive system. So of all those 3 eating plans, I found that the gut healing diet, along with time-restricted eating, is going to be your most beneficial way to go. Although carnivore diet is just, in some ways, really easy because you don't have to think. You just healthy meats, that's it. And if for some of you, do that for a few months and you're gonna do awesome, and then maybe shift over to the gut healing diet that I recommend, okay? If you want the gut healing diet, just put in the comments, give me the eating plan, and I'll send you over the PDF for that. You might have also noticed, just kind of a side note, I just remember this, I got my Life Boost shirt on. I'm an ambassador for Life Boost Coffee, okay? And this isn't a quick sales pitch, it's just to promote Life Boost Coffee. I think I have it over here because I love this stuff. If you like coffee can be very toxic, and it can actually ruin your psoriasis process, the process of getting rid of psoriasis. Unfortunately, it can be very toxic. High in molds, it's one of the highest pesticide crops. I always recommend going organic, but some of the studies on the organic coffees actually aren't that great either. This Life Boost, they've guaranteed no molds. They actually help to reduce the acidity of that coffee as well. I like to have this, the midnight one, with minerals. I actually put drops of minerals that they give us as well to put in there to help reduce that acidity and also return the minerals that a lot of times coffee can deplete your body in. But just saying, this is high quality coffee. I'm not saying drink coffee all day long, but a cup of coffee, 2 cups of coffee, actual cups of coffee each day can actually have some benefits for you. So if you're gonna do coffee, do Life Boost. If you want the Life Boost connection or link, just comment, give me the Life Boost link, and I'll get you that. And I think we have a discount for you. They give you a discount if you go through us on it. So pretty cool, all right? All right, guys, you have an awesome day. Subscribe to this channel, share this stuff with people. They need to hear these things and need to understand that there is a different approach to psoriasis other than just medicating the problem. You guys have an awesome day.